course my dog would start barking as soon as I start. That's okay. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Some of you know me, some of you don't know me. Thank you for tuning in. I'm trying to do this at a certain time now. This whole video series is taking a new life form, something I did not plan. But we're here now, right? So, good morning. This is video number 5. So, there's 4 other videos before this video. I encourage you to watch them and share them. So, a couple of housekeeping notes. This is a space of love, okay? A lot of things I say or have said have been harsh to hear, and a lot of it has been harsh to say. And so what I want to share with you as I try to talk over my dog barking is I'm trying to keep my thoughts a little bit more succinct because I think the last video was almost an hour and I'm trying to just get the information out and we'll just do another video the next day and the next day and the next day. But man, we're planting seeds. And so when you share the video, you're planting seeds. And I've been really touched by how many people have reached out, black and white brothers and sisters, to say, hey, this caused me to look into this. Wow, I didn't know that. Thank you for telling me this. And so I receive all that in love. Now, what's interesting is some of you may know, or some of you may not know, I'm a stand-up comedian. And I never know what I'm going to say when I go on stage. I never know, right? I usually try to think of what would be the last thing I will say, because then when I start saying that thing, I know I'm about to get off stage. But most of the time, I don't know what I'm going to say, and I don't remember what I said. And so a lot of times people might come up and say, oh, when you said this, and I'm like, all right, that's great. What did I say? You know, and these videos are the same way. After I do a video, I generally will watch it back because I also want to make sure that my intentions are being felt. You know what I'm saying? You know, sometimes you think you're saying or doing something a certain way, and then you might realize it wasn't effective. So far, it seems like we're being effective. But a couple of housekeeping notes. I did fill in my eyebrows a little bit better today. There is some vanity. Oh, and I had on short sleeves yesterday, and y'all can see all my poison ivy on my arm, because I told y'all I didn't start working in my yard, and have poison ivy. So I have on a sleeve today just because my vanity was like, oh God, everybody sees your arm is on fire right now. Okay. The other thing that I didn't realize when I watched the video back is I pause and breathe. I said amen about 5,000 times in yesterday's video. I'm not a religious person. I consider myself a Christian. I'm more spiritual than religious, but I kept saying amen. And what's crazy is my main goal is to not to get emotional. Because a lot of times when you get emotional, your message gets lost. Doesn't mean it's right. It just means people get distracted by your tears. And so I've just been praying to have the strength to go through this. And so far it's been working. Okay. But I promise y'all, when I'm trying to make it short, or I'll say one point and then it'll lead me to another point, or it'll lead me to another point, and I'm like watching it back and I'm seeing myself breathing. I promise y'all, it's my ancestors say, and mention this too. This the ancestors shout, they rising up and they said, and mention this. So I'm just being a vessel because my ancestors' stories have not really been shared or told or respected or appreciated or understood. And I have to tell my ancestors' story and respect and honor them for us to understand this week, for us to understand today. And like I said, it's the first time a lot of us are hearing it. So, thank you. All right. I thought about not doing a video today because I went to bed. I get excited about doing these videos. And like I said, I might not necessarily know what it is. I know there's things I want to go through about what's going on, but I don't necessarily know exactly what I'm going to say. But by the time I went to bed last night, I was excited about waking up and doing another video because I feel like we're planting seeds. It starts me off in feeling like I'm productive for the day. And then I log off and I go outside and work on something and, you know, and just pray it's spreading. But we had some unrest here in Birmingham last night. And because of the size of the city of Birmingham, I know a lot of the people in Birmingham, or they know me, or I know them, or we're friends or colleagues or whatever. And so to wake up and see several of my colleagues, mayor, city council, people here in Birmingham and what went on in the city. And so I thought, I really, we're all tired, we're all exhausted. And when I thought about not doing a video this morning, I thought, well, that would be a distraction, and all I have to do is stay my personal course. So I'm going to stay the course, okay? And I pray that you guys stay the course, and everybody has a different course. Hopefully we all have the same goal. That's questionable sometimes. All right, so I wanted to talk to you about a bunch of different things, and like I said, I'm going to try to go through it. But good morning. I hope you are well. I know you're not well. Good morning. I hope you put an effort into your well-being today. Put some effort into your well-being. Most of us are consuming so much information that it's not healthy. Okay. All right. I don't even know where to start. Y'all see I'm kind of trying to figure out where to start. All right. So we talked about rioting and looting yesterday. I called this video Hypocrisy and something else, some other shenanigans. So now that the peaceful protests have transitioned somewhere between peaceful protests to rioting to looting, who's responsible, who's involved, what's the point? It's amazing to me. Again, I think America is built on hypocrisy. Most of the documentations and doctrines of America are based in hypocrisy, because anything that says, all men are created equal, every man has the right to pursue life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, and all that stuff, we know that's not true. That's the only reason we're here. It's not true. It's hypocrisy. Racism itself is growing because of hypocrisy, because as I mentioned, my non-racist white friends don't speak up. So although you say you don't support racism, or you think racism is wrong, you do nothing to stop racism, which you're the only one who could stop it. So that's also hypocrisy. Again, please don't let any of these words distract you from your part. And please know everything is in love. But when you're upset about something, anything, you always want to figure out whose fault is it. You just feel better if you feel like you can point the finger at somebody. You feel like, well, you did it, or she did it, or they did it, or it's their fault, right? I don't know. How does that make anybody feel better? The only thing that makes me feel better, especially when something's going wrong, is what was my part, because that's all I can control. I don't want it to be your fault. I don't want it to be your responsibility, because I can't do nothing about you doing that and taking care of your business. I can only take care of mine. So let's receive that in our spirit. White people, black people, everybody. Let's stop looking at whose fault it is and figure out your part, because that's all you can control. I especially need my non-racist white people to know this to be true. Okay. So I see so many comments about people tearing down their own neighborhoods, destroying their own neighborhoods. Man, let me tell you what's very hypocritical. And I'm trying to put this in a way, so everybody understand. We've talked about the silent protest, the peaceful protest that Colin Kaepernick started 4 years ago, y'all. That was 4 years ago, where he was kneeling to bring attention to the disparities of inequality and injustice affecting black people, including police brutality. And do you know what people did in response? Because y'all might not remember. Do you remember when people got upset with Colin Kaepernick for kneeling, the silent protest? You know what they did? They went and burned their Nikes. Do y'all remember that? Does anybody remember folks burning their Nikes? Their property? Does anybody remember that? Those same people who could not believe he's kneeling and disrespecting their pop as their veteran, even though my pop is a veteran too. They said, we burning our Nikes. Because Nike said, hey, we got your back. You got his back. I'll never wear another Nike again. And they went outside and they videotaped themselves destroying that property, baby. Their own property. They didn't already pay them. Nike didn't already got your money for them, and you burning it up. All that stuff these folks burning up right now, they don't own none of it. That ain't none of their stuff. So they're not destroying their own property. They're not even destroying their own communities. What tends to destroy communities, primarily Black people communities, is poverty and poor healthcare and poor housing and gentrification and mass incarceration and over-policing and food deserts and poisoned water and the school-to-prison pipeline and poor political representation, lack of funded education. Those are the things that are destroying communities. Busting some wonders out, not so much. Okay, let's receive that in our spirit. Please, please, stop telling hurt people how to bleed. Do that. Why would they do that? Stop telling hurt people how to bleed, where to bleed, how much they should bleed, and that they should stop bleeding and why is they hurt. That's your part. I have a saying I always say. I always say crazy don't have a reflection. When you're doing something, no matter what it is, it makes sense to you. It don't make sense to nobody else that's seeing you do it. But it don't show up in the mirror. You can speak on everybody else's life. We do this with our friends and their relationships. Girl, you gonna take him back? And she looking at you with your loser of a man like, oh, what? Crazy has no reflection. Crazy has no reflection. But look in the mirror anyway. You might not see it on you. It's there. Okay. Let's keep moving on. I've been trying to think of examples to offer because I feel like people understand like parables and examples. And you know what's so crazy about when I try to think of an example to communicate what it is I'm trying to communicate? What's crazy about trying? So I was trying to think of like, I was outside sweeping my porch. And I said, I need to come up with an example so people who don't understand, there are people who are, white people are still saying, I don't understand. Okay. And so I'm trying to think of what's an example I can give to help them understand. But let me put a pin. Let me put a pin in that. When white people say they don't understand, you're smarter than us. You're more educated than us. You have more resources than us. You own everything. You're in charge of everything. What is it that you don't understand? Well, I don't understand. But what is it that you don't understand? You don't understand why you would not want to be murdered disproportionately all over the world? You don't understand why you would want to have a nice house? You don't understand why you would like for your kids to have opportunity and education and not have to be afraid of the police? You don't understand any of that? And what's interesting is I think the reason so many Black people have reached out to me to thank me for these videos is they tired of trying to explain it. I'm tired of trying to explain it. But right now I feel productive in trying to explain it. Why would you have to explain that to such educated, well-rounded, evolved people? Why would you have to explain that to somebody? Why would you have to come up with examples to get people to understand that the system is broken and it's no fun being Black in America? But we do what we must. So let me give you this example. I keep talking about empathy. We don't need sympathy. Sympathy is just when you feel sorry for somebody. Oh, look at that poor situation. Look at that poor, you'll say, look at that poor dog. You don't really even say, look at them poor Black people, but we don't need sympathy. Do not need sympathy. We do need empathy. Empathy means you can put yourself in somebody else's situation. It's not your situation, but you can say, you know what? But I know what that is. You can see that somebody's mama died and you feel bad for them. Oh my God, I know how much I love my mama. But that hit different when your mama died, don't it? It hit different. When your dog died, You didn't heard of everybody dog dying. Everybody didn't heard about that Rainbow Bridge. But when your dog dies, Jesus, that hit different. Because you have never and will never experience what Black people experience in America, it ain't gonna never hit you different. So you have to choose to just be different. It's never going to hit you different because it's an experience you will never have. If I told you I stubbed my toe, you would say, oh, you okay? Or you're going to offer me your experience of stubbing your toe because you have a point of reference of how your pinky toe is hanging on by a thread because it didn't see that couch. You have a point of reference. And you can empathize and say, oh, I know what that feels like because I stubbed my toe. So you don't know what it feels like to be disenfranchised, to be a second/third/fourth class citizen. You have never been considered property. You've never had your entire families ripped apart. You've never been sold to the highest bidder. You've never been bred. You've never been raped in the way that an entire race of people have been. And so when you say you don't understand, you do. You don't want to understand, or you choose not to care, or because it does not affect you in a way that you think it will change the quality of your life, who cares? So, my non-racist white people, this is on you. We need y'all to get busy. That's okay with y'all. It can't not be okay. And then you see Black people. I'm amazed at the comments. What's interesting about racism in America and social media? So, if you tried to Google, when did racism start in America? I guess whatever day they start calling it America. A few days before that. Okay. It's ingrained. It's in the soil, that we stole. So racism is in the DNA of the whole country. It's the threads of the fabric of the country. So when you see the flag, the red, the white, the blue, the stars and stripes, each thread is racism. And that's what's holding it together. It's the system that is built on we have to have second class, third class, fourth class citizens. And it's white people that are poor. There's white people that could be considered on the level of Black people, but they still white. So then they still, the whole white privilege thing, that's another video. You can go back and check that. But this is how it's set up. With coronavirus, why that was a problem and why they started talking about all the ventilators and hospital beds and all that. You know why? Because this virus is just spreading, highly infectious. Can't even figure out all the different ways you can get it. The healthcare system in America is not set up for everybody to receive health care. You have the uninsured, the underinsured, you have the poor, you have all these people who will never get proper health care, and that's the way it's set up. So now, when the whole country gets sick, we ain't set up for everybody to be able to get sick. Only certain people can get sick. Those are the people who have the privilege of being able to afford to get sick, right? Okay. Why is coronavirus disproportionately affecting Black people? We just win. We just win lottery on everything. It's because all the different things that coronavirus affects in the body, and it's a new and different thing every day. They're still trying to figure out everything and every way coronavirus could potentially kill you. Black people have so many underlying health conditions already. Well, why do Black people have so many underlying health conditions already? We generally don't have access, especially in our poorer neighborhoods, to foods, and we call those food deserts. You may have never heard of the term food desert, but it just means there's no real food anywhere near you now. There's some gas stations, there's some Family Dollars and Dollar Generals, there's access to Faygo Pops, Kool-Aid, high fructose, corn syrup products, things with preservatives, things that are not meant for your body to process, and therefore you just naturally sicker than everybody else. The other reason why Black people are predisposed to having several and many different health conditions is you have to keep in mind, my Mama, grandma, great-grandma, great-grandma, great-great-grandma, great-great-grandma, great-great, all of them, they were slaves. And so they ate the scraps and the slop and whatever they could find. And those are the things that we throw away because you shouldn't eat them. Y'all have to know chitlins wasn't nothing nobody's eating on purpose. And then we made a delicacy out of them and said, yeah, just put some hot sauce on them. So we're not eating any good food. We don't have access to good food. We send our kids to school. They learn about gardens. They got their little garden. And then they come home and they might have some macaroni and cheese with that orange cheese that ain't cheese. And they just eat what they can eat if they ate that day. Okay. So people are hungry. White people. You know how you feel when you get hungry? Yes, you know how you feel when you get hungry because you get a whole Snicker bar campaign based on how white people feel when they get hungry. You're not feeling like yourself, and we got a celebrity. When white people get hungry, they feel like a celebrity, and all they need is a Snicker bar. When black people get hungry, we have sleep for dinner. Okay. I wonder why they mad. They hungry. White people, you know how you feel when you be sleepy? You just can't get no rest. You tired, you exhausted, you got that big presentation in the morning. They working on the lake house because it flooded and you got to get new floors put in. Let me tell you, it is hard to sleep. When you don't know if your mom going to come home today because she's working 4 jobs and you hope that she get to come home and that you get to see it because you need to ask her to sign this permission slip for this field trip that she's going to tell you she don't have no money for. You sharing this mattress or this floor, this pallet with I don't know how many other cousins and brothers and sisters you have. It's hard to get to sleep. You go to school in the morning. You tired, you hungry. You probably didn't do your homework assignment. You don't have internet at your house. You embarrassed. So instead of being embarrassed that you don't have what you need to get this education that you know they telling you got to have to be successful, but they making it hard for you to get it, and you got the worst of it anyway. They don't expect much of you. The bar's been set lower for you anyway, but they still got the bar on your neck. And instead of just being embarrassed and saying, well, I don't have a notebook, or I don't have a pen, or I wasn't able to get the book, or I don't have Wi-Fi at home, or whatever, you probably just do something disruptive to get put out of class. I ain't got my work. Let me just do something. They expect it of me anyway. Let me just go and get put out of class. But you actually might have something else going on besides the fact that you're not prepared or ready and you hungry and you sleepy and you worried about your mama because you ain't seen her in 2 days. And you know that, she might not have been in the best situation the last time you saw her. And so your teacher put you out of class or send you down to the office, and you don't really get a chance to get no evaluation to see if you might have ADD or ADHD. White people get to get Ritalin. They get to get medication and diagnosis, and they get to treat the little quirks and little things that kind of make them disruptive. They just have a lot of energy. White little kids get to have high energy, and they get to be ADD, and black kids get to be thugs and problems, and they get to go ahead and start getting into that prison pipeline, the school to prison pipeline. Now, we got to keep the pipeline going. We're not trying to get these kids educated so they can be a value to society and add to the community and build up this country so they can have all the opportunities available that the education we know will offer you. We got to get them in the system just enough that we can keep them in the system so we can get paid. For-profit prisons. People own prisons, and you got to have people in them for us to get this money from the government, because the government have to keep all these people incarcerated and in prison. Oh, I can build a prison. I got money. Who's going to be in the prison? Oh, we got bus loads. Bring them on. Bring them over here. So when you say you don't understand why we mad or what's wrong, you don't understand? You really don't understand, or you don't want to know? I've had so many white people reach out to me, and thank you for reaching out and letting me know you're hearing it and you're receiving it. It lets me know the seeds are being planted. Please keep sharing these videos, because they didn't know. All they can do is do better when they know better, right? That's all we can do, is do better when we know better. So we're in prison. Our families are split apart. We're trying to figure out how to make it. When we say we're trying to make it, we're not talking about, getting the easy pass at Disney World for our family for vacation. That's not what we're not stressed out. We're not stressed out about, oh, and then I got to call D. I got to get the wristbands for the resort, and then we got to get the Easy Pass, and then, have the hotel, and then that's not what we're stressed out about. Okay? We don't feel good. But we don't have insurance, and you know what? We ain't never felt good before, so I might feel a little bit worse than usual, but I don't have access to health care or a doctor, and the little free clinic is packed with people. And they don't really do any real diagnosis or treatments. It's just kind of, they got to do enough to be able to get that government subsidized funding to be able to say they saw these low income indigent people. So I just don't feel good though. I ain't never felt good. I don't even know what feeling good feel like. But I still got to go to work. I still got to do what I got to do. Another reason why a lot of black people won't even go to the doctor beyond the fact of not having health care, not having the money to pay for anything, not having access to health care. Another reason black people don't go to the doctor is because we don't trust doctors. We don't trust doctors. No, we don't. A doctor's assumption when they see a black person come in, I don't care how educated you are, is that your life is not as valuable, more than likely, because that is what they have been taught. That's what they've been taught, because they might be American. And so it's just ingrained, right? So now you're self-medicating. That's right, Torski, you're self-medicating at home. And you're not even going to the doctor. But if you go to the doctor and you say, well, doc, this is what I feel. And they say, oh, that's nothing. Or, oh, that's normal. Or they'll put the blame on you on why you don't feel good. Well, you're fat. You got hypertension. You got high blood pressure. And so then white people say, man, these black people be so fat and unhealthy. They don't care. And then they go for their jog and ride their bikes. Know why a lot of black people are fat? Because we eating the fat that you cut off your steak and threw out the window. That's why we fat. We eating fat. We eating high fructose. Fago Pops are cheap. Fago Pops are cheaper than water at the corner stores. Cheaper to get a Fago. Yeah. Black people don't trust going to the doctor because they experiment on black people, because we're not humans anyway, and they need to see how things work. Coronavirus is the most recent incarnation of the Tuskegee experiment. What's the Tuskegee experiment? You never heard about that? Okay, I'll tell you about it. Most black people don't even know the details of the Tuskegee experiment, but they just know enough to say, this is why black people don't go to the doctor, because of the Tuskegee experiment. And you don't even know really the details of the Tuskegee experiment. It's kind of like the Atlanta child murders. I remember being a kid when the Atlanta child murders were going on. I wasn't in Atlanta. I didn't know where Atlanta was, but I knew I was a child and black, and Lord Jesus, they're going to come get me next. And that's how the Tuskegee experiment is kind of in the black community, especially with our grandparents. And no, I'm not going to the doctor. I'd rather sit in this chair and die from whatever I got than to go to the doctor. The Tuskegee experiment was an experiment where 600 poor black men, mostly sharecroppers, were experimented on to see how their bodies will react to syphilis. Wait for it. Not just how their bodies would react to syphilis, but how their bodies would act to syphilis if left untreated. Left untreated? Well, if they know they got syphilis, why wouldn't they treat it? Oh, they don't know they have syphilis. Oh, they don't know they have syphilis? Well, how are they in this study? Oh, well, they kind of bribed them. Like I said, they were sharecroppers, and so they said this was going to be a 6-month study, and they said they were testing them for bad blood. And so these people are former slaves and descendants of slaves, and they had access to education, and they sharecropping, and the United States Public Health Office says, yeah, we're going to get y'all, we're going to check this bad blood, and they were giving them water. In a controlled medical study, you might give one group a medication that you're testing to see if it works, and you might give another group a placebo, which really ain't going to work. But sometimes they'll say, mentally you'll cure yourself because you think you're taking medicine. They didn't give nobody no real medicine. They didn't tell them they had syphilis. So the Tuskegee experiment, that sounds bad enough, right? If I tell you they got these black men in here, they have syphilis, they have not told them they have syphilis, and they pretended like they treating them for this 6-month study, that sounds bad. That's not even the worst of it. That ain't even the worst part. You want me to tell you the worst part? I'm going to tell you the worst part. The worst part is that 6-month study lasted for 40 years. 40 years. From 1932 to 1972. That they told these people, yeah, we treating you for this bad blood. 40 years. They passing it to their wives. They passing it to their kids. I know syphilis, can cause blindness, deafness, mental illness, paralysis, all this stuff. 40-year study. You know what's worse than that? Okay, it's supposed to be a 6-month study. We don't tell you what we study, and we don't tell you you have syphilis. We ain't treating you. We just want to see what would happen if you have syphilis and you don't do nothing about it. Oh, we got all these people. They got syphilis. They don't know it. We just gonna see how it tear their body up, so we'll have the research. That still ain't the worst of it. If I tell you this study started in 1932, and it was supposed to last 6 months. And that's a bogus study from the day they started it, right? It's a bogus study, but it was supposed to last 6 months. It lasted 40 years. It lasted from 1932 to 1972. Do you know when they realized penicillin was an effective treatment for syphilis? Do y'all know when that was? You might not know. 1947. Okay, well, if they started the study in 1932 and it was bogus and they weren't treating anybody, and it lasted for 40 years, but somewhere within the 40 years, about 12, couple years, 15 years after they started the study, they actually found that penicillin could be an effective treatment. Oh, so then they gave some people penicillin? No. So even though they knew penicillin could be an effective treatment for syphilis, they never gave anybody any penicillin from 1947 to 1972? No. Oh, well, they're just black men, so. Okay. Please, anything I'm telling you is not an opinion. Just go Google Tuskegee experiment. You'll see after a whistleblower leaked that they had this bogus study going on with these black men with syphilis for 40 years. An article got published about it, and that's the only way we even know about it now. And now they have all these other health organizations and protection agencies in place so that they can't experiment on your body the way they experimented on those particular black people. But that also speaks to why a lot of black people ain't trying to go to no doctor. We know we are disposable and dispensable. And that's just really that's just a horrible thing to do. That's America. I also wanted to talk about when we were talking about the silent protest, and I was saying that a lot of people that were upset about the silent protest turned it into a thing anti-veteran, anti-military, and their papa and grandpapa served this country. And this is what's crazy. Our papas and grandpapas served this country too, but what white people might not realize or know, have mercy. I'm going to say it out loud. I be feeling my heart racing when I'm about to say something. So what a lot of white people don't realize, and I think a lot of times why white people like to tell you about their lineage of veterans in their family, and they'll talk to you about what medals their parents won and grandparents won, and their decorated military service. I mean, and they are proud. They got that black and white picture of granddaddy in his uniform, and it's probably a picture of him and grandmama, and they've been married 70, and white people get to be so proud of their parents and grandparents and great-grandparents' military service. I know personally, my personal experience, my granddaddy served. You know what my granddaddy didn't never want to talk about? His time serving in the racist military for a racist country, putting life and limb and sanity on the line, and to come back and still be treated like he wasn't even a human. A lot of black people don't like to talk about their service because of their experience. And they signed up and they fought for this country and they died for this country, and they can't even be proud to talk about it because it's too painful. We just somehow knew. Don't ask granddaddy about his time in the war. Don't ask him about him. My daddy served. Okay. I know y'all think that we don't love this country that we built for free. We built the entire thing. We built it all. Y'all do. We built the whole entire thing. But we don't love it. We can't own it. It's not ours. We don't deserve to be here. We don't deserve to... This is the craziest thing about racism. Yes, the country is built on racism. The laws were set up to have us as second-class citizens and all that, but they kept amending the laws, and then they kept adding stuff to try to make it fair. You know what I'm saying? It ain't gonna be fair, but let's just, let's do all these little different organizations and stuff, and let's try to try to make it better. And what's so crazy is we just be wanting them to do what they said. We know it's not right. We know it's not equal. We know it's not set up for us to thrive. But we just want you to do that. Okay, but you said you would at least do this. And they won't even do that. And looking at us and say, but why you mad? Why you mad? Just because, remember that time y'all had said, this is what's crazy, because people think we talking about slavery and we're talking about all this different stuff, and why we talking about that again today, and it's 2020, My mama is still with us. I'm blessed to have my mom in my life. But it's crazy when I think about the fact that my mom graduated high school in 1965. Now, y'all know it was the Civil Rights Act of 1965. So that means my mama was a whole person before the Civil Rights Act of 1965 even came to be a thing to say, well, we're going to go ahead and just sign this. We don't mean it. We don't mean it. We're not going to enforce it. We're not going to stay true to it. Okay. So it's my lifetime. It's my lifetime, right? But y'all don't understand. You don't understand. Let me give you another example. Because again, I want you to understand. So even though I think you should understand, and even though I think you do understand, but it don't affect you in a way that you care, I still believe that my non-racist white friends are going to receive this seed and receive it in the love in which it is given. And they're going to share it, and they're going to tell a friend and share a friend. And they're going to say, you know what? I am empowered and I can make a change. I can change the world. I don't have to sit back and talk about why are they doing that. If you have never acted out of desperation, you don't understand why people act out of desperation. Do you get that? Let me give you an example. Because we love an example. I remember there was a story about this woman. She was arrested because she had a job interview, single mother, and she had these kids, and she was staying at a shelter, but she had this job interview. And so she put her kids in the car, drove to the job interview, and just felt like if the kids could just sit in the car while she did the job interview, she potentially could get a job, and potentially they can have an opportunity to get out the shelter. She did not feel comfortable leaving her kids at the shelter because of things that could happen to her kids at the shelter. So she felt her kids would be safer sitting in the car outside this building, in this locked car, while she go interview for this job. And a white person said, why would she leave her kids in the car? Who does that? What mother would leave these kids in the car? A mother who is acting out of desperation, and that was the best idea she had that day. I would hope that I would not leave my kids in the car. I also would hope I wouldn't be in a situation that I would have to leave my kids in the car. But because I have empathy, I think, wow, she was doing the best she knew how to do in that moment. And she's not only being punished, her situation probably going to get worse. Because now she's been arrested. Her kids going to still end up in a system she was trying to protect them from. For what? For why? So until people start understanding, you ain't never had to act out of desperation. So stop asking, why are people acting out of why would they do that? So I don't know if y'all remember when some American colonists decided that they were sick of the British rule, and they felt like they wasn't free to do what they wanted to do. They wanted certain liberties and freedoms, and they just wanted to be able to do whatever the hell they wanted to do. And so they rioted and looted, and they did all these things. But one of the phrases that came out from that, and we did learn this in the history books, but one of the phrases, and it's ironic because again, this is about America's hypocrisy, okay? That's what this is about, hypocrisy, right? So I don't know if y'all remember this little catchphrase back when they was like showing out and they said, we gonna go and we'll go find it. We'll make our own country and all that. And it was this saying, and you learn this in school. It says, no taxation without representation. No taxation without representation. No taxation without, and all these white people and, this was so crazy. I pay taxes. They take taxes out my check. I file my W-2s and 1099s and all of them every year. I pay taxes. I pay taxes, and then they take taxes. It all goes to the U.S. Treasury Department, U.S. Treasury, the United States Treasury Department. However, the taxes they take from my check and the taxes that I pay goes to fund a system that does not support my life or my livelihood or my health or my safety. No taxation without representation. My taxes pay the salaries of the police that's probably gonna murder somebody in my family because they black. Their taxes, the one that's dead, they probably have paid taxes at some point in their life too. So they paid that salary to make sure that person who saw a black person could shoot him, because we pay taxes, pay into the system. No taxation without representation. Why y'all mad? Y'all could just do a peaceful protest because Dr. Martin Luther King said. Why they mad? Why they mad? What they mad about? Let's talk about white rage. I didn't know how to transition. White rage. White rage tends to show up when we're talking about nationalists and white supremacists and people who don't care about your rights, your freedoms, your liberties, your life, your face, your color, your family, your dog. They might care about your dog. But let's talk about that. Let's talk about white rage. White people, racist white people, my non-racist white friends, I am talking to you, but I want to put it in a way that you get it so you know you can affect a change, because I believe more of y'all do not self-identify as racist, and I know more of y'all got power, and I think y'all ready. I think y'all ready. I've been praying for my white friends' courage. Please, Lord Jesus, let them have the courage to have people turn on them and say horrible things about them. Please let them have the courage to do it. Please let these white people do that. So all I can do is pray for it. Racism is not a black people problem. It's a problem that affects black people. It's a white people problem. Please receive this in love. Okay. So white rage. When black people or any person of color that is not white wants the opportunities that the Constitution and the Declaration and all the things that, like I said, on the paperwork, we've had to amend it, we've had to add things, we've had to, put in stuff to try to make it fair. Like when you're trying to measure something, you say, well, it still might not be equal, but it's enough that, we can get by, And so then when we say, okay, well, cool, is that what we're doing? And that's what, okay. And then if we pay our taxes and then we vote and then we get an education, okay, cool. And then it's like, not really, but okay, cool, right? We're going through the whole thing, right? And so what happens is when we say, hey, is there any way that when we're like driving or walking down the street or just whatever, is there any way that we could not be murdered, on the curb before we have a conversation about it? Is there? And so when we say that, that causes white rage. If a little old lady was walking across the street, she got hit by a car. Are y'all going to beat down that lady for getting hit by the car? Or y'all going to go try to figure out who hit the lady? I'm asking for a friend. They all black. This little old lady was across the street and somebody hit her. We see the old lady. She in the crosswalk. The light was in her favor. It's a little white light telling her to walk. And she got hit. And we saw her get hit. And we see she did everything she was supposed to do in that moment. And so we come and kick her in the throat. And she said, well, wait a minute. No, the car hit me. The car hit me. And we said, no. Why was you trying to walk across the street when you had the right of way and you was in a crosswalk? You shouldn't have done that. Well, why I shouldn't have done that? Well, you look like he was up to something. That looked like I was walking across the street? Oh, okay. So I say we go kick the old lady in the throat. Y'all down, I'm down. Let's do it. So white rage is a thing that's kind of a reaction to people of color, black people, wanting to exercise the rights that have been established for all Americans. And a good portion of the black people that are here were born here. So 14th Amendment say you born here, you're an American. The Constitution say if you're an American, you have all these rights just because you're American. And that's why people from other countries come and try to just have their baby here. They trying to make new laws because they start figuring out, man, there's a whole lot of people from other countries, but they babies be U.S. citizens because they done figured out if you born here, you're an American, you get all the rights and privileges except if you are black. Now, this ain't no opinion. This is just, So white rage fueled this thing. I don't know if y'all ever heard of this little club. This is a club called Ku Klux Klan. I don't know if y'all in the KKK. I don't know if y'all ever heard of this club. But it's this club where all you really got to do to get in the club is hate black people and be down for violence against black people and people of color. That's all. You really don't have to do much. You don't even have to show your face. You get to wear a hood. So they formed this organization, and that is the motivation of the organization is to take the disenfranchised that's already living in the shacks, already don't have an education, already ain't going to the doctor, already eating the scraps, already don't have nothing to give to their children, didn't get nothing from their parents. We're going to still go and burn up everything they have. Okay. So. And we get to burn crosses so they could just know we hate them and they should be afraid. And okay, yeah, sign me up. I'll bring my own hood. Okay. This is white rage, right? So they formed this organization. This is not funny, but I saw a meme that I'm changing it a little bit, but it said, why don't you ever see your non-racist white friends in the KKK at the same time? And the answer is the same reason you never see Miley Cyrus and Hannah Montana in the same room at the same time. Isn't that sad that that's funny? Crazy has no reflection. We can see what everybody else is doing. I can't believe they burning their stuff down. And somebody right now that's saying they can't believe they burned their stuff down got a video on their timeline of them burning up their Nikes because they didn't agree with somebody's silent, peaceful protest. Well, child, I don't know what to tell you. I do know what to tell you. Just do better. A lot of people did not know they was racist until they start watching these videos. And guess what? That's a win. That's a win. That is a win. Because you can't know if you don't know. Right? It's a lot of us find out things about ourselves. We're like, you know what? I never realized. You know what? With somebody, I've had people tell me things about me. And if I agree or concede, even if I never thought about it before, I say, you know what? I receive that. I ain't going to fight it. I ain't going to defend it because I can see why and what they saying. And I say, you know what? I receive that. Now, I've also had people offer me stuff about me, and I say, no, I'm not going to receive that from you. That's not good information for me. So you ain't got to receive everything, but I believe my non-racist white friends, in the privacy of their own hearts and souls and spirits, keep in mind, we all out here together. We all, hashtag alone together during this second pandemic. And it's one of those things that is like, we all together now, but in your soul and in your spirit and in your knowing, especially if you consider yourself to be Christian, this is your personal Christian walk, and however you handle that walk is for you. And so it is your spirit that will either be convicted or not, when at the end of the day, you said, I did what I could to be a good steward of the planet, a good steward and a good neighbor, and to the world. Yes, yes, yes. So white people, speak up, stop racism. That's all you got to do. And it might sound daunting, right? You're like, what? Oh, wow. Yeah. Stop racism. Yeah. That's what we need you to do. Stop racism. And just in your private space, when you say, you know what? I cannot believe, as liberal and open-minded and as loving and as caring as I've always been, as Christian as I am, as much as I love everybody, I have racial undertones and tendencies, and it's not your fault. That's how you were raised. That's what you were taught. That is how this country was founded. That is what we all have been taught, is that white people are better than black people. We've all been taught. Y'all didn't just get that information. We got it too. It's just the fact that we, have a harder time with it. I'm about to stain my deck, right? That's my project for today, to log off after I plant this seed, and hopefully y'all will share it and tell a friend. And this is video number 5. So there are 4 videos before this one, and each one of them hopefully can hit your spirit in a way that you know you are empowered to do what you need to do. And this is all I can do right now. Okay. Hold on. I need to yell at my dog. Bella. Okay. Amen. Amen. Okay. So what I was going to say about this fence. So I was out there kind of trying to clean my deck before I stain it today. And I thought, you know what? That's what racism is. That's what racism is. The racism is a fence, right? It's a fence. And I have a privacy fence. My neighbor has a privacy fence. But if you have a fence, more than likely somebody has the front side of the fence and somebody has the back side of the fence. And depending on how your yard is configured, usually you want the pretty side of the fence facing your house. You know what I'm saying? You want to be able to come out and see the pretty side of the fence. You don't want to see the back side of the fence. But whoever's on the back side is who's seeing the back side of the fence. So that's white people, that's black people. White people got the pretty side of the fence. Black people see the back side of the fence. And so the white people stain and paint their side of the fence. And the black people say, oh, that looks nice. And white people say, yes, it does. And black people say, I think I'm going to stain my side. Even though it's still the back side and, it actually looks different, I can still stain it and paint it and it'll look pretty like yours. I like that. I want my side to be pretty too. And the white person says, well, why would you want yours to look pretty on that side? The black person said, oh, same reason you want yours to look pretty on your side. And the white person said, but why would you think you deserve to have yours look pretty on that side? He said, oh, because, I don't know, it's the fence and it's the same fence and just this is the side I see all the time. So I like that it's nice. And so I'm going to just paint my side. Okay. So then, the white neighbor says, well, you can't use my paint. And the black neighbor says, oh, that's cool. I'll go get my own paint. That's cool. So the white person goes and get their paint and their stains to paint their back side of the fence, which again, architecturally is not as pretty as the front side, but I can stain it and paint it and make my side presentable for me. Right. And I put the paint out there and I go in the house and I come out and the paint is gone. And the white person said, oh, well, I guess you can't paint your fence. And I said, oh, wait, did you take my paint? Nope. Oh, because I left my paint here and I went to get it. Oh, well, I guess you can't paint your fence. Oh, that's all right. I got another can. You go and get your other can of paint. You come back and you go and do something else. And you come back and now this can of paint has been knocked over, spilled out. And your white neighbor says, oh, well, guess you can't paint that fence. You say, wow, did you knock over this can of paint? You must have knocked it over yourself. No, I probably didn't steal the first can, and I probably didn't knock over the second can because I actually just want to paint the back side of this fence. But you didn't do it. You must have done it yourself. So you go and get a friend, and you say, friend, we're going to go get some more paint, but I know I can't leave this paint out there because something magically happens to this paint. So you say, friend, you stand out here with this paint So that paint is there when I get ready to get out here and paint my backside of this fence. And your friend say, cool, I got you. And so you go out there and the friend is gone and the paint is gone. And you say, oh, Lord, what happened to my friend? And the white neighbor said, well, I didn't know him. I called the police. They killed him. They killed my friend? Yeah, I didn't know him. So I called the police, and he looked scary. He looked threatening. I had never seen him before in my life. And they killed him? Yeah, I called the police. They killed him. And you know what you're thinking? Well, did they leave the paint? Did they leave the paint? Nope, they took the paint. So you decide to get up in the middle of the night and you say, I'm going to paint this fence while he sleep. He don't want me to paint the fence. He mad I'm painting the fence. Why does me painting the backside of this fence affect him? He just don't want me to have something that look as nice as what he has. That makes him feel better to me. The fact that his side is painted and mine is not. It makes him feel better that I'm having a hard time trying to get it painted. It makes him feel better that when he looks at his paint, he says, I like to know that the other side of that fence ain't painted and it look bad, and you sneak and you paint that thing while he sleep. And he gets up in the morning and he sees. Now, how did he see? Because he in your business, Karen. And he sees that you have figured out how to get that fence painted. It took you a long time. It took you a lot of time. You had to get creative. It was harder. It took you longer. Because it's easy, obviously, to paint when you can see. But you did it in the dark. And you're proud. And you sit back. And you say, I painted that. Still the back side. Still ain't as pretty as the front side. But it's prettier than it was. That's all I wanted. It's similar. I like what you had. I like that too. And so because he's so upset that you figured out how to do that, you know what he did? He burned that fence down, child. It's his fence. It's his fence. He burned it down. Because keep in mind, that's his fence. You just looking at the backside of it. He burned that thing down. Ain't no way in the world you going to be sitting up here enjoying this backside of this fence and painting it, and you thinking you guys, I'd rather burn my own fence. Amen. Amen. But he don't burn it properly. He don't burn it right. And so you say, well, let me go out here and burn it all the way down so I can build a new fence and it'll have a better foundation and I can make it look good on my side too. So I'm going to go ahead and just burn it all the way down. That's what you say. Because he just burned it and that's just a charred fence. I'm going to burn it. I'm going to knock it down. I'm going to dig it up from the root. So I'm going to put some new concrete, some new stakes. And then everybody that see this fence, I don't care where they see it. They can see it from the moon. I'm going to go ahead and tear this thing all the way down so I can build it right. That happens sometimes. You just got to go ahead and tear it all the way down so we can build it right. It wasn't built right from the beginning. It was built for somebody to have a backside. It was built for somebody to have an ugly side. And I don't care how pretty you try to make the backside of that fence, it ain't never going to be right. So let's just all burn it down together. I don't condone violence. I don't condone rioting. I don't condone looting. However, sometimes you got to just tear it on up so we can start over. Hey, there's a movie I want y'all to watch. Gonna wrap this up. It came out about 15 years ago. The movie is called Crash. Some of you have seen it. Maybe you haven't. I looked for it this morning. It's on HBO, but I think you can get it on demand. You can pay $3.99 on Amazon Prime or something like that. The movie's called Crash. It won Picture of the Year or whatever year it came out. But just the basic tenet of the movie, it has all these different people. And that's who we are. We all these different people, and we all in these different lanes, and we traveling sometimes in the right direction, wrong direction, whatever. But sometimes you crash into each other, and that's the only time you feel something. We are crashing and burning right now. And we feeling something right now. So let's build it back up together. I think we can do it. I think we can do it. We ain't got no choice. So if you haven't seen Crash, go check that out. Thank y'all for receiving this in love. Thank you for wanting to be better. Thank you for deciding to be better. Thank you for sharing these videos. Please continue to share them. Please let them plant seeds in your garden, Everybody, we got to do this in love. We got to do this in love. Ain't nothing else going to work. We done tried everything else. After you watch this video and you share this video, please disconnect from the chaos. Go find something you can build. Go find something else you can plant. Go find something that you feel like will make not only your life better, but somebody else's life better too. Amen. We're going to do that. I never know how long these things went, so let's stop trying. I really do love y'all. I do. We got to be in purpose. We got to stay in purpose. We got to stay in purpose. All of us have got to stay in purpose. We got to stop getting distracted. We got this. Love y'all. Mean it. And guess what? I'll see you tomorrow. There's more.